Namaste. My salutations to all of you. Our sincere apologies for taking a couple of weeks break. For the sake of completeness, we wanted to make sure that both of us are there in these sessions, especially when we cover Shloka 11 to 25. So we'll just pick up the thread from where we stopped and we will proceed to the next Shloka, which is Shloka 14. Another fantastic shloka that introduce one of the most beautiful visions of the Vedanta called the Titiksha. That's what we are going to cover today. And I promised we will do a deep dive into the law of karma as a subsidiary session or a breakout session. So we will do that immediately after completing up to Shloka 25, because we don't want to disturb the flow. Once we complete that second topic, we will cover the law of karma in detail. So that's the plan is. So without any delay, let's get started. So before we start, as always, we would like to see where exactly we stand in the overall scheme of chapter 2. We already covered the fundamental human problem in Shloka 1 to 10. We spent a lot of time. If I want to reiterate one sentence, please don't consider as Gita as a solution for a particular problem. Gita is not addressing a specific problem. I have a financial issue. It's not addressing that. I have a relationship issue. Gita is not addressing that. Because if Gita is addressing a particular problem of a particular individual at a particular time, it cannot be a universal scripture. It may be useful to me at a given point of time for a given situation. That's not the purpose of the Gita. So the Gita is not given as a solution for Arjuna to wage the war, not as a solution for a specific solution for me to solve my finance issue, not as a specific solution for another person to solve his or her health issue. That's not the idea. The fundamental problem is that I am subjected to suffering. That I am subjected to suffering. Underline that. That's very important. What gives me suffering is a variable, and it can change from time to time, place to place, situation to situation. But that I am vulnerable is a common factor. It's a common factor for all the human being. And that is what is Gita addressing. And that is what is making it as a universal scripture. We elaborately discussed that topic. And also we said, if I am subjected to this fundamental human problem, the first step towards the solution is recognize that I do have a problem. Because usually what we try to do, we think that, okay, money is going to solve all problem for me. Or being the presence of another person is going to solve all the problem for me. Or this particular position is going to give me all problem for me. Or change of status of my life is going to solve that problem for me. We just realize that, yes, that is needed. We are not saying that that is not needed. But we need to understand that none of that is going to solve this fundamental problem. Yes, that may solve that particular problem, but that is not going to solve the fundamental human problem. What is that? That I am subjected to suffering. That I am vulnerable. That is the problem. So first you need to recognize that. And you need to recognize that your inability or your helplessness to find a solution. Remember, we talked about that driver who thinks that he know the route, destination, don't even use the GPS, don't even consult with somebody. Absolutely not. He keeps on driving. He thinks that by turning that By making that turn, I will reach the destination, just realizing that not reach there and keep on circling, circling, circling. So understand that there is a solution. There is a permanent solution for all the sufferings. Remember, I'm very carefully using the word sufferings, not the pain, because we talked about that also. So there is a solution for the suffering, and that solution is a spiritual solution, and one needs to be and preparing for that and get ready for that. And you need to, meaning either you need to reach out to a scripture, or you need to reach out to a mentor or a guru, because we just completed Guru Purnima, right? 10th was Guru Purnima. What is the significance of that Guru Purnima? See, somebody who can help us to navigate this path. Guru is not someone who is going to throw a magic wand and bring all these things in front of you. Guru is not a person who is not going to help you to solve a particular problem. Guru is someone who can help you to find a path, a navigator to get out of these problems. When you have a fundamental problem, the Guru is the one who is going to help you to understand that there is a problem and this is the solution, and guide you in a step-by-step manner, right? It's a navigator. Navigator of meaning of your problem is Guru. So that is why it is said that Ajnana Timirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmididam Dena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Gu represents meaning darkness, Ryu represents removal. So the one who removes your ignorance, the one who leads you from tamasoma sadgamaya. So asatoma sadgamaya, from asat to sat, from impermanent to the permanent. Then what? Tamasoma jyotirgamaya, the one who leads you from darkness to light. And the one who leads you from mrityorma amritam gamaya, the one who removes your identity with the temporary body mind and fix your identity with the permanent Atma. Whenever my identity is with the temporary body and mind, I am subjected to death, I am subjected to decay, I am subjected to change. The one who removes that darkness, the one who navigates is the Guru. And Krishna is playing the role of that Guru. And that Guru is equally significant, just like it was significant for before 5,000 years back. We need a person, we need a scripture, we need a system that guides us, not put us down, that guides us to the next step. So let's pray Gita, because right now Krishna is not in front of us, but Gita is in front of us as a Guru. So we can reach out to that Gita. It guides us in a very systematic way, because if you approach Gita with that faith and with that respect, it is going to bless you. That is why it is said that Ambatvam anusandadami Bhagavad Gita Bhavadveshini, right? Vyasena Gradidam Purana Munina Mati Advaitamrita Varshini Bhagavati Ashtadashatyayini. Through that 18 chapters, it leads us to that the vision of Advaita, because I am aligned with that total. My fundamental identity is divine. So this is what Arjuna recognized, and he found his Guru in Krishna. Krishna, who was considered as a friend till then, what happened? The Sakha Krishna becomes a Vishwa Guru. That transformation verse is the Karpanya Dosho Pahata Swabhava Prishchamitam Dharma Sarmudha Vijeta Yashreyas Nishchitam Brohitanme Shishyasteham Twahimam Tam Prasannam. At that time, the Gita begins. So let me pause here and give Avanti some time to talk about the Guru Purnima and connection with this Gita. I thought probably I should start with that today.
Namaskar. Again, apologies that we were absent for 2 weeks, but every absence, I feel, makes the heart grow fonder. Not for us, but for the Gita itself. So It's every time there is a space, go deeper, go more in depth personally into the Gita, and that would really, really concretize all that you are hearing in these classes even more solidly. So I don't need to say more about Guru Purnima. I think Rajesh ji has spoken so wonderfully about what a guru is. And actually, in chapter 1, if you go to our first book, very beautifully we've explained what exactly is the role of a guru, who is the right guru, what kind of guru we should seek. I'll send the exact page numbers later on, but it would be worth reading through all of that, because our concept of guru, like he rightly said, is a magic wand that will take away all our problems in a flash. But again, to remind you, in the context of what we are studying right now, Krishna, Swayam Narayana, Swayam Bhagavan was standing next to Arjuna. And even he didn't take away Arjuna's biggest karma that stood before him. And not only take away, he did not even lift one weapon to fight Arjuna's war. He stood by Arjuna and all he did was give knowledge. And that is what the role of the Bhagavad Gita is. That is the role of what we try to fulfill to the best of our ability. Having said that, I liked some of the things that Rajeshji said of how context specific the Gita is to the general human problem, which is attachment, which is sorrow, which is diffidence, all of that. But I'd also like to say is that, from my personal experience, I'm speaking, is Gita is a very personal book. It's a very personal revelation. I started off my journey in teaching the Gita with taking huge classes and in-person classes across all ages and all that. And then I realized that while it was good that way with these big classes, just by fluke, I happened to take one-on-one class on Gita. And the transformation that I saw was gobsmacking, awe-inspiring. And slowly, all those very big classes started becoming, which takes up all of my time. Throughout the day, I'm doing a lot of one-on-ones. I just saw I saw it being more worthwhile like that. Having said that, this particular group is so compact and it is so aligned, it's almost like a one-on-one class. What I'd like to really encourage is for each of you to resonate with what is being said, what you're reading from the book, and speak in the class, speak on the Q&A chat that we have. Most important, don't hold back, because until y'all give the feedback, until y'all receive what y'all want on a personal level without being very personal, the Gita will not show its magic in your life. So it is a magical text. It works like nothing else in the world can ever work. It was given in the heat of the battle, the heat of our lives. Make it personal. So let Gita be your guru. Let your connection with the Gita be your guru, and let its unfoldment through you be your guru. That's all I'd like to say about guru. We are just facilitating over here. Painstakingly, yes, but we can't do anything more than this unless there is participation from your side. So I think let's carry on with Shloka 14. It's a very, very important Shloka.
Yep. So we were in the second topic, which is the self-knowledge, because Krishna started his teaching by defining who am I, what am I. So that is the whole idea, discovering who I am, what I am, and what I am not, or that's very important. So in 3 shlokas, we saw a few points. Krishna said that Panditas doesn't go to a perpetual suffering. So for you to get to solve your fundamental problem that you are subjected to suffering is become a Pandita. That can mislead, because the usage of Pandit, especially in the northern part of India, it is associated with a priest. That's not at all what he said. Here we defined it as Atma Vishayi Buddhi. The one who knows himself is the Pandita. Pandita Samadarshina. 2 definition is given in the Gita. The second definition comes in the 4th chapter, which is Pandita Samadarshina, the one who sees everyone, one who sees divinity in everything. That is Pandita. And that divinity, one can see divinity in everyone only when he knows himself. So these are complementary definition, not contradicting definition. And then he said, when he say that the Panditas don't get into perpetual suffering, that means like it could be complete, like a complete disassociation, emotionless person. That's not what it means. So in the next shloka 12, he explained why Pandita doesn't get into perpetual suffering. The reason is Panditas knows that, the one who knows himself knows that death is not an end of his. If you remember, Krishna used two double negatives to highlight this point. Natve vaham jatu nasam, natvam neme janadipaha, nachaiva na bhavishyamaha, sarve vayamataparam. Neither me nor you or any of the people standing here, it doesn't matter whether whoever he is. There was not a time when that person was not there, and there will not be a time when that person is not there. And to continue that explanation, that is not what our real experience is, because we all know that we have a birth, we have a growth, we have like a decay, and finally we have a death. We call technically it as Shatbhava Vikara, sixfold modification. Every body is subjected to sixfold modification. So if you think yourself as the body, that contradicts with the previous statement. And in your current state of understanding, you think that you are the body. The birth of your body marks the birth of your beginning. The death of your body denotes the end of our being. Birth marks the beginning of our being. Death marks the end of the end. Krishna said that is not a complete understanding of yourself. So to understand this particular point, we spent 3 classes and trying to understand the different layers of your personality. Shariratraya. So we talked about the Sukshma Sharira, the Sthula Sharira, physical body. We talked about the Sukshma Sharira, which is the subtle body. We compared it like a hardware and a software. We explained like how different is Sthula Sharira from Sukshma Sharira using the example of data storage. If you add 2 terabytes of data to a hard disk, the weight of the hard disk will not change. That is exactly what subtle matter means. So that's an example in our eyes. And then we quickly mentioned about the Karna Sharira, even though it is not detailed, we didn't explain that detail in the book, but we explained technically what it is. And then we talked about Atma. So it is like the electricity. So if you identify yourselves as a body, definitely you have a beginning, you have a growth, decay, death. If you identify with subtle body, still you have a longer longevity. But still it has a beginning and an end. The beginning of the kalpa, it will born, and the end of the cycle, it will be dismantled. So that is the subtle body longevity. And then we talked about causal body. Causal body also will have a beginning and an end. It will still have a longer longevity. It goes across the cycles, but still it has a longer duration, but still it has a beginning and an end. And what doesn't have, what that is not, do not have a beginning and end is Atma, is like electricity. And that is your true identity. And we identified that there is only one Atma, and that is non-dually one. This is the essence of Vedanta. We covered this much. Now, if Atma is your true identity, and technically I understand that, is that going to take away all my pain and day-to-day challenges? Is that going to solve the problem of mortgage I have? Is that going to change the health situation my body has? Is that going to change the struggle at work I have, or the struggle with a person I have? No, that is not going to change. So while you understand that, knowledge of the self, Atma, is going to help you to reconcile with that biggest fear of life, which is death, and the fear of non existence. But still, as long as you live in this world with this body, please don't expect that your life will have 100% problem free. If somebody thinks that there will be a tomorrow where I don't have any problem to face, I can just sit and every experience is going to be happy experience, that is theoretical. It's not practical. So Krishna makes that very clear up front. Right. So even if theoretically assume that you go to heaven, you will have problems there. My teacher Swami Dayananda used to say, if you go to heaven, if you happen to get a permanent residence in heaven, still you will have heavenly problems. That is guaranteed. So we took several examples of that in a lot of classes. So I still remember in one of our Vedanta fundamentals of Vedanta class, I was asking one person, what was your biggest dream when you were a college student? And he thought and he stepped up and said, I still remember that voice. He said, if I had a moped, that two-wheeler moped, what you get in India, and if I get a 4-digit salary in rupees and a job at Wipro, that would have made me completely happy. And what exactly you have achieved, I asked. He said, more than 1,000 times. Are you happy? No. This is the challenge. So even the best, imagine the best possible experience you had in your life. Right? If I think about the best experiences I had in my life, along with that, if I think, was that like a turbulence-free ride, a smooth ride? No, there were gutters, there were bumps, speed bumps, there were challenges, everything. So if you don't know the art of navigating through that ups and downs of the life, that life will not succeed. So if Krishna tells you that by studying Bhagavad Gita or knowing the self, tomorrow onwards all your problem vanishes, that will not. So a whole section of the Vedanta is dedicated on that particular part, how to navigate in this world. So we are going to get a glimpse of that in the next sloka. So let's listen to the chanting. We will start from Krishna's teaching onwards and we will listen to the chanting.
तमुवाच हृषीकेशः प्रहसन्निव भारत सेनयोरुभयोर्मध्ये विषीदन्तमिदं वचः श्रीभगवानुवाच अशोच्यानन्वशोचस्त्वं प्रज्ञावादांश्च भाषसे गतासूनगतासूंश्च नानुशोचन्ति पण्डिताः न त्वेवाहं जातु नासं न त्वं नेमे जनाधिपाः न चैव न भविष्यामः सर्वे वयमतः परम् देहिनोऽस्मिन् यथा देहे कौमारं यौवनं जरा तथा देहान्तरप्राप्तिः धीरस्तत्र न मुह्यति मात्रा स्पर्शास्तु कौन्तेय शीतोष्णसुखदुःखदाः आगमाबायिनो नित्याः तां स्थितिक्षस्व भारत.
That is the shloka. Another brilliant shloka. He say, Matra sparshastu kaunteya. Kaunteya means, O son of Kunti. Matra sparshastu. The interactions of the sense organs with sense organs. So whenever you, in other words, it's a poetic language. When you say, when your sense organs interact with sense objects, what exactly mean? When you engage with the world, when you live your life, that's all. What happened? He says, Shita Ushna, Sukha Dukkha. Shitoshna Sukha Dukkhada. Sometimes you feel hot, sometimes it is cold. And sometimes you feel pleasant, sometimes you feel unpleasant. So the Shita Ishna refers to the physical experiences. Sometimes physically it is fantastic experience, sometimes it's a painful experience. Emotionally, mentally, some situation will be very good for us, some situation will be completely opposite. And what is the nature of this? Agama apayina. They comes and goes constantly. These are anitya, impermanent. When I have a pleasant experience, if I think that will continue forever, that is not correct. When I go through an unpleasant experience, if I think that will stay forever, that is not going to happen. So what exactly is the skill you need to develop? So knowing that this is a fact of life, better learn the skill to deal with that. What is that skill you need to learn to deal with that? One word is given. Titiksha. Titiksha is a skill. It's simple, it's very hard to translate to English, but the closest word is endurance. Not just like suppressing, though not completely indifferent, but endure them. Knowing that this is the nature of life, it will go away. I need to find out the strategy to solve that problem. Don't get completely down. Don't get too much elated. Stay and endure that. Tam titiksha swabharatam. See, this one shloka is good enough to talk about the nature of the life and how I should approach that life. This is the beauty of this shloka. So, Avanti, you wanted to give any paraphrasing? Otherwise, meaning once it is done, you can also give the, you can give the at a glance part, and also then we will deep dive into Titiksha a little bit more.
So, you want me to give the at a glance. So instead of giving the at a glance, because it's right in front of you in the book and it's on the screen as well, I'll tell you all a little story, because I feel stories sit, and this story explains this verse very nicely. There's a beautiful temple. Okay, it's a marble temple. And there are stairs. And then inside the temple, there is a beautiful Krishna Murti. So very pretty stairs and a very beautiful Krishna Murti. And every day there are thousands and thousands of people coming there to pay their homage to Krishna over there. And suddenly COVID hits. There's a complete lockdown. No visitors, no devotees. And that's the time Krishna actually looks around at the temple. And he sees the stairs weeping. And then Krishna says, "Why are you weeping?" He asks the stairs. And the stairs says, "It's so unfair. You know, I am marble, you are marble. And yet, thousands of people come and stomp on me, run up and down on me with their feet. And they come with their hands and offer you all the prayers, all the adoration, all the love. Why is this? It's so unfair. We are both made of the same thing, marble." Exactly what Krishna said in the last few verses, that I am Atma, you are Atma. Okay. And that's when Krishna responds. He says, we were both a piece of marble, a block of marble. When the sculptor started hitting on that marble, you whined, you screamed, you whinged. So the sculptor left you alone and made you simple stairs. I bore every etch. I bore every hit. I bore every blow. And that is why I became the Murti. So this is what the verse says, that everything, there is good, of course, good will keep happening to us. But without that blow, without that hit, without that etching, without that pain, there is no beauty, there is no even purpose to human life. All animals that come over here, they come with a preset program. They just come to finish their prarabdha, live out without any choice of will. But our choice of titiksha, especially in the bad portions of our life, is what is going to groom us towards godhood, towards our evolution. So to bear that, whenever something bad hits, we are like, why is this happening to me? If you could just change that to a few questions, what is in it for me? What lesson can I learn from this? How can I come out better from it? When we talk about punarapi janamnam, punarapi maranam, we can start cutting short that cycle. And this I'm speaking from personal experience and observation. If we are able to use every hit as a carving to become that murti that everybody goes and adores and worships. So very, very important thing to understand. Again, before Rajeshji delves deep into the shloka itself, I'll give you two quotes which will make you think. You can please, I'll send them again in the chat as well. First thing is BKS Iyengar's quote. Remember, we are talking about yoga. We are talking about yoga, and we've understood through the last few classes, even in chapter 1, that yoga is not standing on your head twisting, though we've celebrated Yoga International Day. What BKS Iyengar says is yoga, which is the yoga taught in the Bhagavad Gita, teaches us to cure what need not be endured and to endure what cannot be cured. The second line talks about titiksha. That endurance, like Rajesh said, not like putting 25 blocks on my head and said, oh my God, I have to go through Bhagavad Gita saying go through. No, an inner smile. Again, yoga teaches us to cure what need not be endured and endure what cannot be cured. And this is the gift that Bhagavad Gita will give us. And one more verse, which is by another ideal and inspiration of my life, Ratan Tata sir, who says, ups and downs in life are very important to keep us going. So these good and bad, hot and cold, very important, because a straight line, even in an ECG, means we are not alive. So if you want to stay alive as a human being and thrive, please endure titiksha with a smile, all the ups and downs of life. We'll get into it further a bit down the line, but let Rajeshji just deep down and reading out the at a glance, capturing the spirit of the shloka, understanding our true identity as Atma consciousness, which Krishna has done over all these last few verses, helps us transcend the fear of death. However, that eternal Atma is there. It's our true identity. But right now, we are living in this transient body, mind, and intellect, which is consistently afflicted, hit by bottle problems. So, however, life constantly presents us with a range of experiences, some pleasant, others challenging. To live effectively and with resilience, underlined resilience, we must recognize that these experiences, born from interactions with the world, are impermanent, like Rajeshji said, anitya. By cultivating steadiness and endurance, underlying titiksha, we can navigate life's fluctuations with grace and clarity.
Excellent. And we're going to see how to get that titiksha a little bit later. But this is the most important skill one has to cultivate. So this is key point. So what is titiksha? So a very good definition is given by Shankaracharya in the Viveka Chudaman. So it tells Sahanam Sarva Dukkhanam Apratikara Purvakam Chinta Vilaparhitam Sa Titiksha Nigatyati. So Sarva Dukkhanam, all the challenges or the affliction, without a pratikara purvakam, without like grudge, I suffer it because I don't have any other choice. It is through that knowledge, it is through that understanding that, yeah, this suffering is temporary. With that understanding, can you endure? Chinta vilapasahita. Sometimes you suffer it, but what happens? Continuous worry and sometimes crying. So, can you overcome, face a challenging situation without grudge, without anxiety, without worry? That is the skill. Sa nitiksha vitichyate. So now we have defined what is the skill we need to develop. How we are going to develop the skill from 38 shloka number 38 to 52 is going to give. So everything is very clear, right? So key point here is to understand that yes, Atma is impermanent. Knowing that will remove the fear of death and some other, the one of the biggest worries of life. But that is not going to help me to live the life here now. To live here the life now, what happens? I need to develop the skill. So these are the two major teachings of the Bhagavad Gita. Please understand that. One is to take you to the highest spiritual truth, which is known as Sankhya, and how to develop this titiksha, how to efficiently live my life here. Broadly, that is known as yoga. So that Sankhya and yoga put together is the theme of the entire Bhagavad Gita. In Shloka 38, Krishna tells, Esha te pihita sankhi vapari yoge timam shranu uthya yukto yaya partha karma bandham prahasyasi. The entire problem, your life, you need to learn what is the spirituality, but at the very same time, you need to learn the art of living a great life here. And what is that biggest skill you need to develop? Titiksha. This will be translated as samatvam a little bit later. But titiksha is the important step to build that samatvam. So even later in this chapter, Krishna gives 3 definitions on the term yoga. And the 6th chapter, he gives another 3 definitions. So in the entire Bhagavad Gita, you will see at least 6 definitions for the term yoga. In this chapter, the first definition he gives is Samatvam Yoga Uchyate, the equanimity, the ability to keep the mind in a stable manner is yoga. So that is what is this. So this particular definition of Sitiksha is developed by none other than the teacher of all teacher, Shankaracharya, in his masterpiece work called Viveka Chudamani. Viveka Chudamani. A little bit small introduction to Viveka Chudamani. Viveka Chudamani means, Viveka means the ability to discern what is correct and what is incorrect. What is truth versus what is false. What is the absolute versus what is impermanent. So the ability to discern what is impermanent, what is permanent, what is truth, what is not, meaning false, what is correct and what is incorrect. That is Viveka. Correct meaning, so this Viveka, Chudamani, like if you imagine a person, the greatest, the most important organ of that person is the head. And this is a jewel on that head. And what type of jewel? The jewel of Viveka. That is the term. So this book comes under the category of a Prakarana Grantha. So in Vedanta, so what is Vedanta? We always talk about Vedanta. Vedanta means it is the end portion of the Veda. That is the literal meaning. Anta means end. Veda means Veda, the body of knowledge. So that is the correct definition. But strictly speaking, the original Vedantic textbooks are Upanishads. Upanishad is the end portion of the Vedanta. So Upanishad Pramana, that is the Vedanta. And in the conventional category, along with the Upanishad, two other textbooks also considered as part of that Vedanta. One is Bhagavad Gita, the other one is Brahma Sutra. But it is not easy for a student directly approach this conventional traditional Vedantic books. So if I go and read a book on artificial intelligence, I'm going to talk about deep learning, I'm going to deep fake, disinformation, misinformation, it is going to confuse you. To enter into an advanced text of AI or advanced text of law, I need to know the basic terminologies. I need to know, like, a primer is needed. One of the greatest contribution of Shankaracharya to our culture is he established this teaching tradition. I always try to say, right, what differentiates Vedanta with the other schools is every religion has great things in that. Every teaching is truth. There is absolutely truth in every master. But what differentiates Vedanta is that powerful teaching methodology which we have for a systematic study of the scriptures. It's not that the random saying of a master Buddha, when he spoke at this place, that place, everything compiled into a scripture. No, that is not like that. You have a systematic scheme of study to start from where you stand to reach the highest possibilities. So Shankaracharya is the one who has to be credited for creating that powerful teaching tradition. So to make these fundamentals very clear, he wrote a series of books known as Prakarana Granthas. The purpose of this Prakarana Granthas is to introduce, there are two purposes. One is before the study of these three scriptures, which is Upanishad, Bhagavad Gita, Brahma Sutra, somebody has to be introduced to that topic. So that is first set of Prakarana Grantha. And the second set of Prakarana Grantha is what? Post study of the Upanishad. You wanted to reconcile and recap. So there is a set of Prakarana Granthas which has to be studied after studying the Prasthanatraya. So a set of books which you study before the Prasthanatraya, a set of books you study after the Prasthanatraya. And the set of books you study before the Prasthanatraya, there is Tattvabodha, which gives you all the technical terms. There is Atmabodha, which we studied, entire thing in this particular group. Like it gives in 100 shlokas an overview of the Vedanta. But if you want one book which covers every Vedantic concepts very systematically, that is Vivek Chudamani. This is 581 shlokas, mind you. Look at the depth and breadth of our scriptural literature. Just for academic purpose, if you are interested, curious, what are the post Prasthanatraya Vedantic books? One is Dakshinamurti Stotra of Shankaracharya, and the other one is Panchadashi of Vidyaranya. These are the two popular post-Upanishadic study books. So this is coming back to Titiksha. Sahanam sarvadukhanam apratikara purvakam chintavilapa sahitam sa Titiksha iti. So the simple example is just imagine like somebody is surfing in the ocean. This is a figure which we put together for the book. So thanks to Vikrant, he's the one who created this picture. So somebody is surfing on the water. You know, like surfing board, you go to the ocean. If you think that it is calm water, you can surf. You need to learn that art of surfing. When a big wave comes, what do you do? Like when the wave goes back, what do you need to do? And if you look at a constant shore, the lighthouse or something in the shore, you should be able to surf nicely. So the idea of Titiksha is you always focus on Atma and learn the art of that surfing. That is Titiksha. Utsantam Titiksha Svabharata. In modern world, this is psychology always talks about this. There is a concept called threshold of pain. Threshold of pain. Like some people, a minor, their stability of the mind goes away even when the coffee is not a little bit hot. Very easy. How do you, it's not in one step, you can learn the full Titiksha. It's a step-by-step process. Swami Paramarthananda ji, of the student of Swami Chinmayananda and Swami Dayananda, he came like a beautiful method, which we quoted in the book also in later one of the later shlokas, called FIR. How do you measure your stability or ability to navigate? Frequency in which you get upset or your mood goes down, ups and down completely. Second is intensity, how deep it goes. And the third one is recovery time. Like, even if I get disturbed, how quickly I can recover. So if you use these three parameters, you should be able to measure this. Again, tam titikshasva bharata. So, Avanti, you wanted to cover anything more on Titiksha?
No, what I wanted to say was there's a very interesting quote that we've put in the book on page number 127. It's by John Kabat-Zinn, which says, it's in the very first paragraph on 127, if you have the book. You can't stop the waves, but you can learn to surf. And this is exactly what Krishna is telling Arjuna. That this, when he's using words like heat and cold, pleasure and pain, and then he uses a lot more of the opposites throughout the Bhagavad Gita. They are inevitable aspects of life. And whenever I sit with the Gita, I keep thinking it's so funny, right? These are common sense things actually. Anybody with even little bit of intellect should understand that everything that happens in life is unstoppable. It's part and parcel of life. There's no way of actually avoiding it at all. But we need spiritual knowledge, and we need a verse like the Bhagavad Gita to understand that we are on the ocean of life. Why we are there, how come we are there, all those answers will come when we reach Turiya. But for now, we are very much in that ocean, and the waves, try as we may, are not going to stop. They are never ever going to stop. What we can do, and not what we can do, what we must do as if our life depended on it, because it does, is learn how to ride that wave. And that mastery of surfing. So many of you all are from the US. If you all ever go to Hawaii, there's one beach, I'll send the name, which is just a surfer's paradise. If you just sit there, you learn Vedanta. You're just looking at those surfers and looking at those waves, Vedanta will unfold in front of you. Even when I did not understand Vedanta properly, it taught me that lesson. That the art with which, if a wave is coming, whether you have to go over it or whether you have to duck and let it go over you. You know, where do I speak? Where do I hold back? Where do I retaliate? Where do I have patience? All of that is Titiksha. So just coming back to the translation of the book on page number 122, O son of Kunti, Kaunteya, the interactions of the senses with their objects. Remember, Krishna has spent a lot of time so far telling us we are not the body, we are not the mind, we are not the intellect, we are that Atma, eternal, untouched, unscathed within. But we have these senses for now. So he's reminding Arjuna over here that the senses, the interactions of the senses with their objects, the world will continue to have objects. We will continue to have our senses, and they will continue to interact, whether we like it or not. Produce sensations. Those, so remember this, those interactions are what are producing sensations like cold and heat, pleasure and pain, those unstoppable waves, those interactions. These sensations are impermanent. You don't need Krishna to tell you that. Sit back. All of us are old enough. Some of us are quite old to know that we have had the worst sensations in our life so far. Did it stay? Okay, you'll say, I still feel the pain, but that's your choice. That's what we talked about, first arrow, second arrow in the previous verses. But the sensation itself, did it stay? It didn't. Whether it was a physical sensation, whether it was an emotional or an intellectual sensation, it came and it went. So it did not stay. Whether you want to admit it or not, it did not stay. What is staying, if it is staying, is your compulsive, obsessive disorder of not letting it go, when even the pain doesn't stay. So it is impermanent. He declares it, Krishna declares it, not Rajesh ji and I. Coming and going. He says they come and they go. I'm going to send a very beautiful poem to you all. It's from English literature, which will talk about the same thing. Coming and going. They'll keep coming and keep going. The sorrows will keep coming. The joys will keep coming, and rest assured they'll be going. My teachers used to always say it's like a wheel. There's a sorrow. At the heel of that sorrow, there is joy. At the heel of that joy, there is sorrow. So to get caught up in any one is absolute stupidity. It just doesn't make sense. I remember the first Bal Vihar class I took for 11 to 13-year-olds. There was this little child who was there, and I asked the whole class, I said, so what does the Bhagavad Gita teach us? I was teaching Bhagavad Gita. And everybody said, oh, it teaches us to endure when, things go bad. It teaches us not to feel sad. And this one little child put up his hand, I'll never forget. And he said, but Avanti auntie, I think it teaches us more not to get very proud when we have good things in our life. And I was blown away. So endurance is not only when we are going through the bad. Endurance is that samatvam, or that level-headedness, even when we are going through the good. Very, very important. Both of them will keep coming and going. Endure them with patience. We've used the word patience. That's a very loose translation. Titiksha, O descendant of Bharata. And one more thing to remember over here is that, or to note over here, he's used two very endearing words to address Arjuna. Kaunteya, reminding him of his mother and all the great qualities that Kunti had. And Bharata, which is a direct, wake-up call for us as well. All of us being from Bharata. Bharat, we are all Bharatiyas. Bha, as we have seen, means light. Rata means revel. Light we look at as knowledge. It is in our bones. It is in our blood. It is flowing through our veins, this knowledge. No matter what else we've inherited, no matter we've left India and come abroad, that knowledge, that light is within us. So constantly the Bhagavad Gita will say, it is already within you, the knowledge, just awaken it. So very, very beautiful verse that talks about the polarities of life, the polar opposites that life will keep presenting us, and a clear instruction, not full method yet, but just an instruction. The only way to get through all of this is with that one single word, titiksha, enduring with a smile. So a brief definition, if you want to put, titiksha equals enduring with a smile, put an exclamation mark, underline smile. Because endurance without a smile is no endurance at all. It's suppression, it's anger, it's repression, it's why me, all of that is happening within, even if on face value you're enduring very nicely.
You could give the reflective prompt also and wind up.
So the reflective prompt, page number 129, if you have the book, I again implore, please get the book. It'll be very handy if you don't have it at all. Can you think of an instance when an untoward circumstance got the better of you? And I'm sure we've had many of those. Did you resist it with anger and resentment? Now think, how did this approach impact the circumstance? Whatever your reaction was, did it help the circumstance? After studying this shloka, do you think you can handle a comparable situation in the future with fortitude and grace, i.e. with titiksha? Then there are dotted lines there, not just for show, for you all to write your answer in it, okay? So please write your answer in that and use some more papers if you want to, but write that answer. And the quote, it ends with, in life's shifting tides, endure with grace, for every wave must fade. There's no way anything is going to be permanent. Even a terminal disease, my teacher says this, even a terminal disease is terminal. It finishes in this life, you're born again. So nothing is permanent.